The Institute for Faith and Freedom at Grove City College presents Liberty Mail with the Student Fellows of Faith and Freedom.
Welcome back to Season 4 of Liberty Mail. I'm Katie Kenline, your senior co-host at the Institute for Faith and Freedom at Grove City College, and I am thrilled to be able to introduce your new junior co-host, Ashby Abernathy. Welcome to Liberty Mail.
Super good to be here. Thank you.
We're in the basement studio back at Grove City College. It's our second week of school, and we're really excited. We're hoping to bring you new episodes every Thursday. If you missed it, we already did a special episode. I interviewed Dr. Kengor before school started about his Reagan movie that's out now. We'll be sure to have a link below, but it's still in theaters, and we'd love for you to see it if you haven't got a chance yet. And I also want to give a shout out. Here in the studio, we have another senior student producer this year, Tessa Nave. She's a political science major here. She's from Grove City, Pennsylvania, and we're really grateful to have her and the whole team back here on campus. IFF has some really exciting events for you this fall. We get to be in class with Vice President Pence this fall here. He's on campus, and we're really excited to have you joining us as a new fellow. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself, Ashby, and what brought you to Grove City College?
Yep. Yeah. So I grew up in Apollo, Pennsylvania on a farm. My family's fourth-generation farmers. When I started looking for colleges out of high school, I wanted someplace that had a good Christian foundation where I could really grow in my faith and grow in what I believe in. And that's what led me to Grove City. So that's
awesome. So does your family still farm?
Yeah, we still farm.
Oh,
yep. Yeah.
That's really sweet. Have you always been conservative?
I'd say I've always been. Yeah, I've always been conservative, but I've definitely grown in my views a lot more recently. The 2016 election was a big catalyst for that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people got pulled into politics at that point, and I was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I think. It's similar in my life too. But I mean, I was in a very liberal state. I don't know. Your state is a purple state now. It'll be Pennsylvania will be important for the election, but we'll see. Be. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's funny. Last year, Grace and I both from blue states. For her from Connecticut. Sometimes we had some interesting. We were like, oh my goodness, our states. But we have a lot to look forward to this fall and everything that's happening. What are you studying?
So I'm here studying political science. That's my major, and then I'm looking to get a minor in economics and then in pre-law. So.
That's awesome. What do you want to do with your life?
I'd like to go to law school after Grove City College,
okay.
And hopefully go into legislative law.
That's really
it would
awesome.
be the ideal place for me.
Yeah,
so.
That's really exciting. Do you have any stories of anything that inspired you? You said 2016 election, which I think, but do you have any? I don't know. When I was in high school, I read a book by Peggy Noonan, who's a speechwriter for President Reagan, called "What I Saw at the Revolution." And that really opened my eyes to, I really wanted to be in political comms and wanted to be a speechwriter and all of those things. Have you had a moment like that, or just certain people you look up to that have inspired you to go down this direction?
Yeah, so in 2016 when I got the big kick for it, and then in 2020 again, I got sucked into the Turning Point rabbit hole. I went to the Turning Point Student Action Summit. I met all their hosts, Charlie Kirk, Michael Knowles, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec. Like, I read all their books. So I was very much so. That was a big stepping stone into the political sphere for me. Whenever I did join that, started a local chapter at my high school, ran that for 2 years, and then came to college. So yeah, definitely, that was a big factor of me getting into politics.
Yeah, no, did you go to public school?
Yeah, I was public high school. So
wow, we've had public school hosts the last couple of years, which is a different perspective.
It definitely is. Yeah, I was private school till 8th grade, and then I went to public high school. So I've had a foot in almost both doors. So
yeah, no, that's wild. Did you have any? I know that a lot of people have trouble like starting conservative chapters and clubs like on their public school. Just, I guess, campus, just at their school. Did you have any of that or, like, pushback? I don't know how conservative or liberal of an area you grew up in. Yeah,
so my town was very interesting because it's very, very rural. But for whatever reason, there was a lot of people who were on the other side of the aisle, specifically just at the school and stuff. So there was quite a bit. There was pushback from fellow students as well as a couple teachers who just were like, yeah, we really don't want to see this here. But yeah, we got it through. The one faculty member who was a big supporter of it was a really big help getting that through. So
Yeah, that's wild. How rural is, so our listeners will know that me being from Washington State, sometimes they don't know the geography around here. How many people live in your area?
I really couldn't tell you, but I lived in a very small school district. I only graduated with 70 people.
Okay, that helps me. That helps. Yeah. No, that's wild. What made you, so you came here, what made you want to join Institute for Faith and Freedom? Because we have a whole new cohort. Anyone listening will be able to look online soon and see all the bios of all the new fellows who are doing research for professors or helping plan events, which is really exciting. But you're one of the, I think we have 20. I'm looking, do we have 20? 19. We have 19 fellows now, which is exciting. But what made you want to join IFF?
I wanted to join an organization that could really help me mature in my political beliefs. Somewhere where I could have iron sharpening iron. That's a big motto of the college, a big belief of mine. Because, how do we know we're right if we don't test our ideas? And I think the Institute for Faith and Freedom proves a very valuable place and fulfills that role between student fellows being able to interact with each other, interact with other members in the political sphere, professors. It's just a really good place for me to hone those skills.
Yeah. So. No, that's really exciting. What are some of the issues that are most important to you? This is kind of, we're just doing the rundown, get to know you, Ashby. What are some things that, I don't know if it's like keep you up at night or you want to work in that sphere in the future?
Yeah, so the big issues for me, I'm definitely very pro-life in my beliefs. I'm also very pro-Second Amendment, as well as protecting the freedoms that are guaranteed in the Constitution. Constitutional ideals are very important to me. So I'd say definitely those are some of the bigger points of belief. Just growing up in a rural area, those are all things that are pretty prevalent to us.
Yeah.
Just because we rely on another big thing is protecting the agricultural industry, especially in Pennsylvania. It's a big factor in Pennsylvania politics is preserving farmers. So that's definitely something that really hits home for me.
Yeah.
For that.
No, it's interesting. Is it Pennsylvania's state motto that's "Pursue Your Happiness"? I think that's right. As we're driving this weekend, I was in West Virginia and Ohio because Ohio's just find it here, right? I think it's kind of a funny. They have a funny communications thing going on, a little banter when you drive into Ohio. But I was with some friends and somebody was like, what does that mean? Like, pursue your happiness. And then we were like, remember, it's in our founding documents, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But in many documents prior, like I think, is it the Magna Carta? But documents prior to Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, it said like property, life, liberty, and property. And I think that's something that's like what you're saying is to be able to do your livelihood without, then we go down the rabbit hole of talking about all kinds of foreign
involvement, various regulations,
But no, that's really interesting. And this summer, well, we were both in two different capitals. I was in the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., and you were in the Pennsylvania State Capitol, right?
Yeah, I was there. So I wasn't there in the Harrisburg office. So I interned for Senator Joe Pittman, who's the majority leader in Pennsylvania of the Senate. Okay. And I interned in his various district offices. So he has 3 district offices in the 41st. And I was fortunate enough to get to go to all 3 and just experience the different processes that go on there. And then you were in D.C.
I was, which was a very crazy time. I think many times it would have been fun to sit down and have a little recap of all the things that were going on because really, since Grace and I sat down in May, I feel like the whole political world of the United States has changed. One of the crazy moments was I went, the debate was on a Thursday night. I went, is it in June? I went the next morning, I was at the White House to do just my tour. Congressional staff can go take a tour of the White House Friday morning. And so I'm there at 8 a.m. outside the White House, and it was like everything had changed. Everyone knew what had happened the night before. And I'm walking through President Biden's home and just thinking, okay, he's upstairs. Like, I don't know if he's upstairs because there's the Waffle House video of him going to the Waffle House in Georgia or whatever after. So I don't know if he was really at the White House. But it was this like everything has changed what is happening in this city. And then, I was right there. So I was working for people who listened last year. I think I said I was going to go in as press secretary for my congresswoman from Washington State. She's retiring. And so it gave me a really cool opportunity to really do pretty much my dream job just for 2 months. It was crazy, just everything that ended up happening. But yeah, it was wild to just be walking around in between those buildings and see really quickly how everything went downhill, everything changed. And then, Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, which I never would have, I'm for weeks then we have Fox News on in our office, and they're just like live stream outside Butler Farm Show, live stream interviewing people in Butler. I don't know. Did you see any of this?
Yeah,
too?
we were watching it pretty closely in the office. We had a lot of people making phone calls asking for the senator to just give his input on it, what his stance would be. It was a very big issue in Pennsylvania, just in terms of what happened in Butler, because being it's so close to home.
No, it's wild. And then I'm explaining to people, in my office, we've got people from Washington State and two people surprisingly from New Jersey, and I'm like, it's like 30 minutes from my school. This is great. We know people who were there. We had people who alum of IFF working for Congress members who were there, or the state part. We had many people we knew there, and it's crazy just really how much has changed since May and everything. Yeah. And now we have a whole different presidential ticket, which is wild too. But yeah, really being in DC in the craziness this summer, I think, we didn't do commentary, obviously, on a lot of these things, but our host, one of our hosts last year, Grace Riley, we just want to give a shout out to her because she covered a lot of this whole summer. Some of it, she actually did interviews with Dr. Ken Gore for American Spectator on the weekends, but you can find her at Conservative Grace. And she's on YouTube and Instagram and all the things, and Twitter to X. But she has done commentary on all of that too. We probably won't get into all of the things that we missed this summer. But yeah, one of the other things that was really crazy for me to see was when Prime Minister Netanyahu came to DC this summer. And so for those of you who know DC, you know that like the office buildings are across the street from the Capitol. The Senate's on the north side and the House is on the south side. And so the whole place was like completely locked down. I know a lot of people who didn't go into work that day when he was there. There was already all kinds of controversy about the Biden administration maybe being opposed to the speaker, having invited him to come talk, and really like very high security moment because it's also 2 weeks after Trump was shot. And I think many of us were thinking he better have brought his own security because if you're Mossad, you do not trust the Secret Service or the FBI or anything right now. But it was crazy. They had like a whole fence up around like really the entire Capitol compound. But one of the most wild things to see, so we were very safe. One of the crazy things was protesters who were down on Pennsylvania, like they really couldn't get close to the Capitol, but they ended up coming. Many people might have seen videos of this online. They came up to Union Station, where then there's like these problems with jurisdiction and the police, and so that was like Metro Police, Capitol Police. Really, they had it under control, but basically they took down all 3 American flags that fly outside Union Station. They burned them. They graffitied over everything. There's a copy of the Liberty Bell in that like plaza area. They spray painted over all of that. They flew the Palestinian flag. And then there are also pictures of people, protesters literally walking around with like green Hamas flag, like the terrorist organization flag. That was a very wild moment to be there. Did you have any protests this summer related to?
Not near me, because like I always am from a pretty small area, so there's not too many protests that happen. The last time protests were really prevalent in my area would have been the 2020 riots. No, it's a wild reality, and just to like watch things live. But yeah, it was. I think my summer is really best described as like everything that
I was seeing on TV was happening down the hall. I mean, I was in Rayburn, which is where all the committee rooms are.
Yeah.
And so really like the Secret Service director testifying down the hall. So myself and some other people, we like ran down the hall to like see her as she left. And that was like the last time she's seen before she resigns from her position. And then I sat in on the FBI director when he testified. And that was crazy too, because again, they're like talking about Butler and everything. But that was before, that was a wild committee hearing, and they have all the drawings and everything that went wrong. Everything you saw on TV, I was just sitting in there.
Yeah.
It was wild. Yeah. Did you have any, what were you doing specifically, like constituent relations?
Yeah,
Like,
so primarily answering constituent phone calls, helping people with just various state work that needs done on things, writing letters of support to people. And then another part of my job was doing legislative research and creating drafts for certain bills to be sent to LRB to go into law.
awesome.
So just a really good exposure to the legislative process of Pennsylvania, working closely with Senator Pittman's legislative assistant, who was a big role model in that in my
That's
time as the
awesome.
intern. So
yeah.
Yep.
I think it is wild. I was doing the more political side, like doing communications and responding to press, sending out newsletters, doing social media. But I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of what members, both at like the local level and on the national legislature, what they do is they actually serve their constituents regardless of whether or not they voted for them. We're doing like Social Security, immigration, all kinds of like, if you have a problem with your passport, if you have a problem with the IRS, if you have a problem with, a huge thing in our office is the Veterans Administration and VA and support for just anytime veterans like can't get what they need. But it's crazy. That's what people don't see as much. But it's the like helping constituents with things that really actually matters.
it was even a shock to me because like that wasn't something that like I think I knew that happened, but I didn't realize to the extent that your senators and representatives can help you with things.
Yeah.
It was just a really big perspective change on what politics is like outside of the election cycle.
Yeah. At the state level, what do they help you? Like, what were you able to help people with?
Primarily state agencies. So
Yeah.
dealing with PennDOT is a lot of it. Any state-related agency in the state of Pennsylvania, so Conservation District, DCNR,
Wait, what's DCNR?
Department of Conservation and Natural
Okay.
Resources.
Got it.
All like Pennsylvania state agencies, because there's the federal ones, but Pennsylvania also has a lot of their own.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes, wild things happen. I don't know. Then suddenly you're involved in like, in my district, there was like they're trying to zone for solar panels like on the Palouse, and there's a bunch of farmers that are mad about it,
Yep.
and then the congresswoman's office is in the middle of the like national wildlife, so like all of the it's just a more less political. Some of the stories can be funny, or they can be really sad, like a veteran who can't get access to insulin just because the system is so messed up.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a different side of things that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's really wild. Is there anything you're looking forward to this year? We were able to have conversation and talk about kind of the direction we want to go, and we were talking about wanting to interview some more people. But just then I'll hand it off to you the next year, and we'll hopefully keep this. Keep this podcast going. Yeah, but you also you did a podcast a little bit. You've had some.
I did some podcasting in high school just as a hobby. Nothing really ever made it onto the internet, but like I did some stuff. So
Yep. So now we're back in the studio. There's a green screen over here that maybe someday we'll use. Not really, but no, it's really exciting, and we'll have some really special guests. Again, did you see Reagan yet?
No, I have not. It's on the list.
I haven't seen it yet, but on September 14th, the students we're getting to watch it, which will be I'm really thrilled
Looking
for that.
forward to it.
It'll be really fun. I know we could just keep having Dr. Kengor sit down and tell us more and more about the movie, because I think I talked to him for like 30 minutes, and I'm sure he has even more stories. But just we want to remind our listeners, everybody go see the movie in theaters, especially to support it, to show that we're behind it. And then, we're excited for what we have ahead for the podcast, what we'll bring you different timely topics, but also timeless, hopefully have some good guests on. And then in the meantime, we hope you'll like, subscribe, and follow us. And if you have an idea for anyone that you'd like us to have on, a podcast topic or a guest, let us know in the comments and or on social media. Institute for Faith and Freedom is everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all the things. But thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next week.